This is Claire Alexander. She looks like a normal 6-year-old. She is involved in everyday activities. But what you don't know is that Claire has cystic fibrosis, also known as CF.
CF is a life-threatening genetic disease that causes mucus to build up and clog some of the body's organs. This leads to multiple problems, especially in the lungs and digestive system.
What kind of stuff do you like to do?
Soccer, swimming, ballet.
People with CF often get lung infections and have inflammation or swelling in the lungs. Over time, this leads to damage and lower lung function. CF can also make it hard for the body to absorb nutrients in food, creating difficulty for a person with CF to grow normally and maintain a healthy body weight. Cystic fibrosis is an autosomal recessive genetic disorder that afflicts over 70,000 children and young adults worldwide.
The gene associated with cystic fibrosis is cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator, or CFTR. The CFTR gene is found in region 31.2 on the long arm of human chromosome 7. A person with one recessive gene for CF will be a carrier. A person with a double recessive trait of the gene will be afflicted by CF. The normal CFTR protein product is a chloride channel protein found in membranes of cells that line passageways of the lungs, liver, pancreas, intestines, reproductive tract, and skin. CFTR is also involved in the regulation of other transport passageways. The CFTR keeps passageways to the lungs and pancreas clear.
CFTR is a type of protein classified as an ABC, which is an ATP binding cassette transporter or traffic ATP. These proteins transport molecules such as sugars, peptides, inorganic phosphate, chloride, and metal cations across the cellular membrane. CFTR transports chloride ions across the membrane of cells in the lungs, liver, pancreas, digestive tract, reproductive tract, and skin.
CFTR is made up of 5 domains, 2 membrane-spanning domains, MSD1 and MSD2, that form the chloride ion channel, 2 nucleotide-binding domains, NBD1 and NBD2, that bind and hydrolyze ATP in a regulatory domain. Delta F508, the most common CF-causing mutation, occurs in the DNA sequence that codes for the first nucleotide bonding domain.
About 70% of mutations observed in CF patients result from deletion of 3 base pairs in CFTR's nucleotide sequence. This deletion causes loss of the amino acid phenylalanine located at position 508 in the protein, referred to as delta F508. If a CFTR protein with the delta F508 is folded incorrectly, then this defective protein is marked for degradation, and as a result, delta F508 never reaches the cell membrane.
Back at 8:35 with a school flap over an 11-year-old boy in Palo Alto, California. He has been told he has to transfer to a new school because he's a carrier of the gene for cystic fibrosis.
If you're 11 years old, what could be more potentially traumatic than being the new kid in school and then being told just as you're settling in that you have to transfer to yet another school? Incurable genetic disease of the lungs and pancreas that leads to early onset respiratory.
Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease, so you are born with it, and it is not contagious.
But doctors say CF patients can pose dangers to each other through bacterial cross-contamination, coughing, or close contact. In some other schools, CF patients are kept in separate classrooms and follow other safety guidelines preventing close contact. But here's what the doctor specializing in CF told us.
In general, we would prefer that there not be more than one cystic fibrosis patient in a school.
Dr. Nancy Snyderman, NBC's chief medical editor. Dr. Nancy, let's start with you. As we saw in the piece, he has the genetic marker for cystic fibrosis.
Right.
So let's be clear, he does not have cystic fibrosis, but I guess the question is, does the genetic marker mean you might one day get cystic fibrosis?
So this is one of those times where the science has leapt ahead of the definition. We all have pre-existing conditions if we all did our human genomes. So he is a marker. It's no more likely for him to get cystic fibrosis now than you having a marker for certain cancer and living your whole life without it.
About 1 in 3,500 babies are born with CF each year in the United States. CF affects all racial and ethnic groups, but is more common among Caucasians. An estimated 30,000 people in the United States have the disease.
But there is still hope.